Hi everyone, it's James here from Pro Tools Expert, and I've got a plugin collection review for you. Waves have just announced that they have brought the price of the SSL 4000 collection down for the month of January 2015, that is, depending on when you're watching this. So I thought I would give you a quick look at the plugins that make up the bundle. You get the amazing SSL E series channel strip. You get the amazing G series channel strip. You get the EQ from the G series console, and you also get the magic, the glue, also known as the SSL bus compressor. More about this one later, but let's have a listen to this track that I've got together. I've bypassed all the plugins so far, other than a little bit of reverb. Let's have a listen to this one. Now that all sounds pretty good, and thanks to the person on one of the last Waves videos I did that commented and said it's all very well adding plugins, but it's got to sound good in the first place, and that is absolutely true. But the cool thing about good plugins and knowledge of how to use them is you can make good stuff really shine and really sound so much better. And the first thing I'm going to do is unleash some E series channel strip across the drums. And let's put these into solo, and I'll listen to the kick drum first, see what we've got. So you can hear before and after. Pretty dramatic. So let's first of all have a look at the E series channel strip. Filters at the top, high pass and low pass. Then I've got my EQ section, high frequency, fully parametric, high mid and low mid, and then cut and boost on my low frequency down here. My dynamics section, I've got the compressor, really nice compressor on the E series. The gate section. Now the cool thing about the gate on SSL gear is you get this range option, which makes the gate still operate in the same way, but it almost like a bleed setting. It lets a certain amount of the original signal through the gate, so it's really quite nice. Certainly very, very nice for drums. Because it's a channel strip, I've actually got control over the channel volume, gain, and phase. I can view the input or the output of the channel. I can also bypass the EQ or dynamic sections, set up a side chain if I want to, and I've got the visualization of the gate and dynamics processing going on here, which is really, really handy. So I'll just take you through how I've set these up. It's pretty much standard kick drum stuff. I started off with the CLA preset kick 1. The presets in this are really, really good, but of course you cannot mix with presets, and if anyone tells you you can, you can't. But they are often a very good place to start, so that's what I did. Here's my first kick. Second one, equally aggressive. Snare sounds absolutely monstrous. And the nice thing is I can go through and I can really tune in. So I think in the underneath snare, there was a real problem with one of the frequencies. I just had to wheedle it out a little bit. Have a listen to this. There's a really not very nice ring there. Now my snare sounds really nice and fat. Rolling all the bottom end out for the hi-hat. My toms. It's allowed me to get a really, really nice fat tom sound. Let me find somewhere in the track where that's a bit more appropriate. Over here, I think is probably better. Let me loop that up. That's the high. Mid tom. I love that low tom. Nice big fat tom sound. On my ride mic, I'm just using the G series equalizer. In this case, I've rolled a lot of the bottom end out. My filter is in around about 200 hertz to try and get rid of all the bottom end out of this signal. So you can hear I'm still getting some of the toms through, but if I jump back to somewhere in the track, you can hear I'm just picking up that ride sound really nicely. Okay, the special source mic, the compression mic. Now I've really hit this hard with the G series channel strip, compressing the living daylights out of it. I've even used a rhythm guitar setting as my kind of starting point. Compressing it really, really hard, as you can hear and see. And then my overheads, again, I'm using the G series channel strip for that. So let's just have a listen to the drums on their own. Now that sounds pretty good, but what I really like to do in a case like this, I've got a drum master track set up here, and I'm going to use the G series master bus compressor just to really, really gently compress my drum mix. You can see I'm just about kissing the needle. Bypass it. It's such a subtle difference, but it's really, really nice. The G series bus compressor is often called the glue. Just holds mixes together really, really nicely. It's a really, really useful tool. Don't want to hit it that hard. I think the phrase kissing the needle is the one that gets used for settings like this. It sounds really, really sweet. Okay, so the next instrument in this track is bass. So let's have a listen to that without anything on it. This is all bypassed at the minute. Now that's a DI straight from an Ampeg head. So let's put the channel strip, the G series channel strip in this time, and you can see how I've set it up. Just compressing gently. Just taking out a little bit of that finger noise that's up there. If I boost this, you can hear there's definitely the finger tone up there. Adding a little bit of bottom end. Very happy with that one. Okay, let's have a listen to the next track. Now, people often forget that you can apply EQ, dynamics, and effects to virtual instruments. In this case, the Hammond. And again, for this, I've used the G series equalizer. No need for compression or anything like that, I don't think, for this particular track. But it's just picking out the frequencies that I like. If I put that in with the track, with the bass part now. Boosting quite a lot of that mid frequency just to give it a bit more presence. Very happy with that. So now 2 guitar parts left to look at. The rhythm guitar, back to the G series channel strip this time. Now, rhythm guitar parts and guitar parts in general have an awful lot of bottom end, and I don't want that bottom end getting mixed up with the low end from the bass and the low end from the kick drum. We have enough problems in a mix making sure that the bass guitar and the bass drum, the kick drum, have a nice sort of space in the mix on their own. We don't need guitar parts and keyboard parts muddying them up. So I've taken out quite a lot of the bottom end, everything from 70 hertz upwards here, and I'm really not doing very, very much here at all. Just mainly boosting some mid, high mid and low mid frequencies, just rolling off a little bit at the bottom end. My filter set, say about 90 something hertz, 92 hertz. So again, have a listen to how it sounds with and without. Just getting rid of the bottom end. I don't need it, I don't want it. Okie doke, so that's my settings for the rhythm guitar part. Let's have a look at the lead guitar. And again, yep, you guessed it, G-Series channel strip this time. I'm getting rid of the bottom end. It's not necessary. I'm boosting it here, but I'm cutting it in the main filter, so I'm moving the curve around a little bit. One of the things that console EQ is really good for is to be able to cut frequencies and boost things almost in a kind of Pultec kind of way, where you cut and boost the same frequency and you get some really nice kind of effects from it. SSL EQ is not quite so notorious for that problem, artifact, call it what you will. But these recreations of the E-Series channel strip, the G-Series channel strip, the G-Series EQ, and the G-Series master bus compressor, they're amazing. They sound so much like the real thing. I mean, to the point where I don't think you could tell the difference. I've used an SSL G-Series a couple of times. Fell in love with it, but fell out of love with the price tag. This is the way you can replace that in your studio without the need for a 90,000 quid bill at the end of it. So have a listen to the lead guitar sound with and without the G-Series channel strip installed. So you can see I've used the EQ to boost those mid frequencies, get rid of the mud, get rid of the stuff I don't need, focusing in on what's important to that particular instrument. And that's the key to EQ generally. Work out what you like, get rid of what you don't. Not complicated. So what I'm going to do is I'll play the whole track back and then we'll bypass all the plugins all in one go. So you can hear the effect of taking them all out and putting them all back in has. Have a listen to this track with all the plugins in first, and then I'll show you the last bit of secret sauce. It's almost like there's a blanket that's being lifted off from in front of the speakers. Yeah, you could say that's just because you've boosted the top end, which is true. I have done that, but I've also got rid of all the mud and all the clutter that's masking those other instruments. The last thing I'm going to do on my master fader in this case is whack another instance of the G-Series master bus compressor. Again, gluing it all together, helping those other four instruments blend into that drum mix. This thing just sounds so sweet. Literally just tickling the meter. So there you go, that's my take on a quick look at the SSL 4000 collection from Waves. Includes the SSL-E channel strip, the SSL-G channel strip, the GEQ, and the G-Series Master Bus Compressor. These are at an amazing price online at the moment. That's January 2015. Take a look at the website, and if you liked what you've heard, go and do the same for yourself. I've been James, hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you again soon for another gear review.